Greetings, human life forms. I'm the Meister, and welcome back to the OT podcast. Once again, joined by Thomas Bailey, president of the school newspaper, Buffalo State University. As we are going to jump right in to our Week 3 predictions 2025. But first things first, how well did people do last week? Thomas was the best person last week in terms of record, going 13-3. Is the Lombardi Trophy's finally back?
Yes, Owen finally didn't forget it.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you, Owen.
Overall, 24-8 for Bailey on the season. As we move into my picks, I was 10-6 last week for an overall of 20-12. The AI went 9-7 last week for an overall of 22-10. And for Brian, if you're watching, you went 11-5 last week for an overall of 22-10 as well.
11-5 weeks for Brian.
Yeah, Mr. Consistent over there.
Yes, sir.
Just like the Dolphins with being sucky. As we're going to move along right into the first game of the week. It's on Thursday Night Football.
Speaking of the Dolphins.
Yeah, between the 0-2 Miami Dolphins traveling to Buffalo to take on the 2-0 undefeated Buffalo Bills. Division matchup here in Week 3, Thursday Night Football, is the original Thursday Night Football theme returning of having shitty games. We will see, but do the Dolphins finally get their first win of the season in Buffalo, or the Bills going to stay undefeated?
There's many stats I can throw at you about the Dolphins not winning in Buffalo. I can throw all these stats about Josh Allen owning the Miami Dolphins, and I'm not going to do it. You know why? Because it's simple as this. It's cut and dry. The Buffalo Bills are going to win this football game. I'm sorry, Brian, if you're watching this. Owen took multiple shots at you. Looks like he's trying to lose not only a subscriber, but a friend, because holy crap. But anyway, I do think that the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. I think it'll be decently competitive, as it always tends to be at the beginning of these games. I think, obviously, the score starts 0-0. I do think that the Dolphins are going to keep it decently close. 31-14 is my score. I say decently close because it's still not close in the NFL, losing by 17. But I do think that the Miami Dolphins have some upside, especially on offense, with a Bills team that's really bruised right now. I think that one thing that a lot of people are overlooking about this Dolphins team is the run game. Devon Achane can totally cook a defense, and without Ed Oliver in the middle, if they start to run the ball and they don't have Breece Hall at running back like the Jets did last week, I think that there's a chance where if they get the ball first and they can kind of control this game on the ground, and it will be a lot closer than people think. But I think that the Bills will pull away. Josh Allen and this team, they get it done always against the Miami Dolphins, especially at home too. So go ahead and give me the Buffalo Bills on Thursday night.
Yeah, I don't think Brian's going to hate me too much because Brian also has the Buffalo Bills winning this game, as well as the AI, and as well as me, of course, as this is also going to be my lock of the week. You can seal that one in right now. This game could be over very quickly, but I will say as a Bills fan, it could definitely be one of those games where, for whatever reason, the team lingers around until just about the fourth quarter until we start pulling things away, but obviously nothing is given in the league. You're not, like, the Bills aren't going to be handed this win. They're going to have to earn it, just like any other game, so Bills got to put their best foot forward in this one, but, I mean, both teams do, obviously, especially the Dolphins starting off the season 0-2. But if you guys do want to see my score predictions, you guys can check out my 3-minute YouTube video I also have, where the videos are about 3 minutes long or so. You guys can see all my score predictions right down below on my YouTube channel. But, alas, we are going to move along to the Sunday slate of games, first of which coming up we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Minnesota Vikings on CBS. Two teams without their starting quarterback here for Week 3, and which backup quarterback is going to get it done for their team?
I'm not going to lie, I'm not really convinced either of these quarterbacks are meant to be a starter at any point. Although Jake Browning did play well last week, we've seen a lot of the case of what's happened with Jake Browning, and I don't want to get into exact examples because there's a laundry list, but I saw a post talking about the situation that Jake Browning had where he came in after the game was already where it was at and led the team to a win, played well, and then the next week when he had to start again the next week, whatever quarterback that was, played terrible. And I don't think he's going to play terrible necessarily. I think he's going to be okay. But here's the issue that I have. This game's going to come down to the defense. And we know the Cincinnati Bengals are infamous for not being good on defense. And I think that when it comes to a situation like this, Jake Browning, I think, can hold his own. I think he'll be okay, especially because you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to throw the ball to. But I do think that this game's going to be won with two things: running the ball, working off play action, and being able to do okay in terms of the defensive side of the ball. And if they won 14 games last year with Sam Darnold, I think they can survive one game against potentially one of the worst defenses in the league in the Cincinnati Bengals this week. So go ahead and give me the Vikings. I think it's going to be close. I think it'll be back and forth. Go ahead and give me the Vikings 20-17 in this game. Minnesota gets the job done at home.
All right, and as for the other people who picked this game, Brian also went with the Minnesota Vikings, so he agrees with you there. But the AI does not. The AI is going with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I know you mentioned a lot about the defense, and whichever defense is better is going to be the team that's going to win the game. And last week I brought up the same thing with another game. I can't remember the game right now, but I said the same thing. Whichever team had the better defense, I felt like was going to win that game. And it turned out to be the opposite. So I'm going to go with how this is trending so far. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals right now to win this game over the Minnesota Vikings, to keep their undefeated season going early, to go to 3-0. I feel like another one of the big factors for me in this game is which quarterback do you trust more? And I know the Vikings are very good at having kind of mid-ish quarterbacks kind of run the offense pretty well. But I like Jake Browning a lot more than I do Carson Wentz right now. Haven't seen Carson Wentz really play at all really lately, but we've seen Jake Browning in this situation before, and he hasn't been terrible. But can't really say the same thing for Carson Wentz right now. So I'm really iffy on how the quarterbacks are going to be playing in this one, as I'm sure a lot of other people are. But give me the Cincinnati Bengals to take care of business here against the Minnesota Vikings on the road here. As we're going to move right along to another game here on CBS. It's an AFC South division battle between the 0-2 Houston Texans and the 1-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars could have very easily beaten the Bengals last week, but kind of choked it away there in that one.
Spurred my upset.
As for the Texans continuing to struggle and finding a way to win and put points up on the board, as they lost pretty much in the last play to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, damn near. So Texans trying to find their way to a victory. Jaguars trying to find a way not to choke. So who do you got winning this divisional battle here?
This reminds me of what we'll get to eventually with the Chiefs. I just don't see a world where the Texans are 0-3. I really don't. It's hard to see that world. But for the Jacksonville Jaguars, they've played well over these first 2 weeks, especially on the offensive side of the ball, which seems like if it comes down to the offensive side of the game in this situation, I think the Jags win. However, I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to come down to these defenses, and I trust Houston's a little bit more, obviously, especially after getting diced up by Jake Browning on the final possession of the last game. So go ahead and give me Houston to win this one. I think that this is an interesting season series to keep an eye on for all of you guys. Put a pin in this series, especially with the Jags at home. I could totally see this being the game that the Jags win. I think inevitably they probably split the season series. I think that this would be the game where we could see the Jags win, especially being at home, but I don't see the Houston Texans falling to 0-3. And on top of that, I do think that this is a pretty interesting division, and I know that the Colts at least are going to be rooting for the Texans to win this game because they would be firmly in control after this week if they can win their game, which we'll get to in a moment. But I think that Houston's going to win this game 24-17. I think it's going to be back and forth. It'll be pretty close, but go ahead and give me the Strouds, if you will, to take home the win.
All right, the AI does agree with you there. They also got the Texans winning, but Brian does not. Brian's going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars here in this one. I'm going to have to agree with you here. I'm going to go with the Houston Texans to win this one. It's just like you mentioned, I can't see the Texans starting the season 0-3, and I feel like their defense for Houston has played phenomenal these first 2 weeks, really holding their own against Matthew Stafford and Baker Mayfield these first 2 weeks. Sure, they haven't ended up in wins, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's on the defensive end as to why they did lose. But for this game, I really do feel like, especially for the Jaguars, I feel like they do have something to build on these first 2 weeks. I feel like they've shown promise. But, I mean, considering you didn't end up winning last week and you're going up against a team that's really desperate for a win right now, I think it's going to be a little bit of a tough situation here for Jacksonville here against a divisional opponent. So give me Houston to win this one as
over there
well.
In Jacksonville.
Did I say it again?
No.
No, I didn't say it.
But I'm saying over there in Jacksonville, they're going to win this game.
Whoa, but you didn't have them winning. Are you switching your pick?
No.
All right, but moving right along here, we got another AFC South divisional matchup. This time it's between the 2-0 Indianapolis Colts traveling into Tennessee to take on the winless 0-2 Tennessee Titans. Pretty simple for this one. Are the Titans going to get their first win, or are the Colts going to continue the streak of being undefeated?
I'm not going to lie to you. This one was really tough, and I could see the Titans winning. I hate it, but the Colts are going to be 3-0. That's disgusting, guys. That is absolutely disgusting. It's not like they played like really terrible teams either. They played a pretty solid team in Denver last week. And even in week 1, who did they play in week 1 again? Miami, sorry. So, okay, so not exactly the greatest competition in week 1. But
the Dolphins.
Still. Okay, dude. But I do think that still, though, like this Colts team is showing a lot of like inspiring stuff, especially from quarterback like Indiana Jones, I guess, if you will. But I think that this is going to be a pretty close one. I think it's going to be one of those games down to the wire. And traditionally, at least, the Titans and Colts have had some really, really close games, especially over these last few years. So go ahead and pencil in one another. I think 24-20, the Indianapolis Colts are going to get the job done here on the road in Tennessee. That's the only thing that scares me about picking the Colts to win this game. Although exactly how many Titans fans there actually are probably scarce. But, either way, go ahead and give me the Indianapolis Colts on the road.
All right, it's looking like we might have a clean sweep here as both Brian and the AI also siding with the Indianapolis Colts. And I feel like we're 2 weeks in right now.
Oh, no.
This feels eerily similar to the Saints start last season, starting off 2-0. Everyone was jumping on the Saints train. Everyone was like, oh man, the Saints might actually be good, and then they ended up sucking through the rest of the season. I feel like a lot of us are kind of biting that bullet right now, including me, so give me the Indianapolis Colts to also win this game as well. Like you mentioned, the Colts are just kind of playing inspired football right now. I mean, they're clicking pretty much on damn near all cylinders. Daniel Jones has been looking pretty decent so far. And you look at the Titans. I got to say, I picked the Titans for my upset pick last week. It was looking kind of close to it with that first half. Cam Moore did show a little bit of that rookie magic in him that he had. But the second half was definitely an entirely different story in that one.
I want to mention, though, with that game, this game, to me at least, would be the true definition of Daniel Jones, being the guy. Because if you look at these last couple of weeks, what did the Titans do? Not the Titans. What did the Colts do to the Broncos last week? They forced them to throw the ball. They forced Bo Nix to play quarterback, and he didn't do as great as he could have. He played good. And the thing is, with this Tennessee Titans team, for example, the Titans were in that game against the Rams. And the Rams are a really good team. We know that. But here's the thing. The Colts are primarily a run-heavy team because of Jonathan Taylor. If the Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor anymore, it's going to be coming down to what? Daniel Jones. And if Daniel Jones proves that against the Titans, which admittedly they don't have a great secondary, but the great defensive line, I think is going to be a big telltale on if Daniel Jones can get Indianapolis into that conversation of potentially making the playoffs.
Yeah, it's very well put there, but we'll see as the season does go along here. But we're going to move right on to the next game here. It's one of the first Fox 1 o'clock games that we're going to be talking about here today, and that is the 1-1 Las Vegas Raiders traveling to play the Commanders, who are also 1-1 right now. May or may not have Daniel Jones in this game. We'll see.
Daniel Jones?
Did I say Daniel Jones?
You did say
Jaden Daniels, my fault.
Jaden Daniels Jones.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same player if you think about it. Both used to play in the NFC. Well, one does play in the NFC East. One used to play in the NFC East. So, but 2 1-1 teams. Really, who's going to get their second win of the season? Is it going to be the Raiders, the Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, or is it going to be the Commanders with potentially without Jaden Daniels?
I'm not going to lie to you, and you're going to call me bold, and everybody else is going to call me bold. I predicted this game thinking that Jaden Daniels won't play. And I still picked the Washington Commanders to win this football game.
Okay.
This score is going to be 17-10. That's my score. I think the Washington Commanders win this game regardless of if Jaden Daniels plays, and here's why. I think these defenses are both pretty bad, but I think that the Commanders' defense is slightly better. And then if you're asking me which coach I think's better in this kind of a situation, I think that it's Dan Quinn. Pete Carroll's shown some revitalization at his ripe age of 74, but I do think that Dan Quinn is the better coach, at least as of right now, in my opinion. And if you're talking about the offensive side of the ball, which team's offense has looked better, even without Jaden Daniels, I still think that Commanders offense would be better right now than Geno Smith in that offense. Geno Smith played absolutely terrible against a pretty lackluster cornerback room, and he threw an interception to, what was his name, Danon Henley or something?
I could not answer the
I
question.
had no idea who he was until last night. That's kind of how it's been for Geno Smith, though. He has those spurts, and I think that at the beginning of the season is where they start and where they happen. I think he's in one of those funks right now where, I think that it's going to come down to the turnover battle. Which team's going to turn the ball over? And you might think I'm crazy for saying that the backup quarterback's going to be the one that doesn't turn it over, but I think that's going to hold true in this game. They're not going to ask a lot of him, and if you look for a schematic fit for the Commanders in this game, you can't ask for a better fit for your quarterback to be replacing Jaden Daniels than a Marcus Mariota. I think it makes perfect sense. He literally fits everything their scheme is. This game's going to come down to him passing the ball, though. And I think that that's going to be the problem for a lot of people picking the Raiders to win this game. But I think that the Raiders aren't going to win. I think that it's going to be back and forth. It's going to be decently close. It's going to be low scoring. Just warning you now. But I do think that the Commanders pull out a win, especially at home.
Yeah, I just realized I accidentally spelled bait on my page right now because I have both Brian and the AI also picking the Washington Commanders. B-A-I and a T makes bait right there. But I feel like this game can definitely have that sense of being a bait game kind of almost because a lot of people are a lot more iffy on this game with the uncertainty of Jaden Daniels right now. And it's really 50-50 to me because they said that he may miss a couple weeks to now saying he's day-to-day, so we kind of don't really know the status of him right now. I'm sure we'll end up finding out more later today.
Unfortunately, of course.
Yeah, we'll probably see it on our phones right after this. But so for me, it's really 50-50 right now. And honestly, if I didn't think Jaden Daniels was not going to play, I would pick the Raiders. But I'm going to go with the Commanders here just because if I had to guess, I'm going to say he might end up playing. And at the same time, Geno Smith did have a really rough performance last week with 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Commanders are kind of the safe pick. But if you do pick the Raiders, I can definitely see it just because, I mean, sure, they have Marcus Mariota, but he's no Jaden Daniels, let's be honest here. And
Oh, yeah, true.
the running game, I feel like, is going to be a lot bigger of a question mark without Austin Eckler. And also, you did trade Brian Robinson, obviously, right before the season.
Good
so
idea. Now
it's definitely going to be an interesting game to see how it kind of plays out and if Jaden Daniels will play. But for now, give me the Washington Commanders to win this game. As we move along to another Fox window game here in the early window, it is the 2-0 Los Angeles Rams against another undefeated team in the Philadelphia Eagles. Potential game of the week right here. 2 undefeated clubs right now going at it. Which team is really going to stay undefeated in this one is the question. There seems to be some question marks with the Eagles. There also seems to be a little bit of question marks with the Rams right now. So where do you see this one trending?
Well, I'd like to start with the absolute criminal offense that this is a 1 o'clock game. But more importantly, though, I think that this game's going to matter about the health of that Rams offensive line. We saw last week that pretty lackluster pass rush, especially without T'Vondre Sweat last week for the Tennessee Titans, got home several times and even made that game very difficult for Matt Stafford to even make throws for most of it. Now look at the Eagles' defensive line going up against that same offensive line. I think it'd be absolutely terrible. So I think that while this game could totally be a very close game and very good game, I think that there's the potential that this game is, I'd say probably a higher likely chance that this game is a blowout win for the Eagles than there is of this game being really close. And that's just because of the Rams' offensive line. I don't think that the Rams' offense is bad, obviously, with Puka Nacua and also Matthew Stafford playing well. It's just more so about what do I expect to be the better outcome in this situation, and I think that I would rather lean with the Eagles. I think the Eagles have their own questions here. It's just I don't think they have an injury that really amounts to the injury that is the offensive line for the Rams right now, so I'm going to go with the Eagles to win 27-20. I think it's still going to be decently close. Matthew Stafford is the absolute GOAT at garbage time points, so I think that this would be one of those situations. Go ahead and give me the Eagles to win this game.
All right, well, the AI is going to agree with you on this one, but Brian is not in his upset of the week, having the Rams defeating the Philadelphia Eagles in this one for them to advance to 3-0 on the season. But for me here, I'm also going to have to lean towards the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Again, you mentioned it, the Rams' offensive line health is definitely going to be a big question mark going into this game. And one thing that I can't stop thinking about, I've been thinking about this for the past 2 weeks of the Eagles, it's the fact that, like you mentioned this earlier today, they don't have a passing touchdown yet offensively, and we're in week 3 now, but they're also 2-0, and their defense has been looking pretty good.
Believe me, I know they don't have a passing touchdown.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts on your fantasy team.
Yeah.
But I feel like it just makes the Eagles almost scarier because they're winning games without barely throwing the football. And just thinking about if they add that whole other dimension back to their offense, how scary that Eagles team can be again this season. But it also can backfire, too, if there really actually is an issue with the passing game right now, and we're just not seeing it right now, which could also end up being an issue. But as of right now, I believe it's going to be the other way. I think the Eagles are a very scary team right now, and they are the defending champs. So in order to be favored to really beat them, you got to beat them. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles to win that one as well. As we move along to an NFC South divisional matchup between the 1-1 Atlanta Falcons and the 0-2 Carolina Panthers.
Gross.
Yeah, very gross game indeed. I don't know how many people can be tuning into this game except the fans for those two teams, but are the Panthers finally going to get their first win of the season? Or are the Falcons going to get to 2 wins? 2-1.
Oh, God. I think this game is going to be pretty interesting. I think that this game kind of matches up perfectly for Carolina. In the sense, like, their defense, for example, right? Their defense was one of those teams, at least. Like, their defense is terrible. The Panthers' defense, I mean, has been really bad. Especially at the beginning of the season. They haven't looked great. But if you look at the Falcons' offense, they've struggled a lot to score points. They kicked, how many field goals? Was it 5 field goals in that last game?
A lot of field goals,
I think it might have been 4. It might have been 5. I'm not quite sure. But they had either 4 or 5 field goals in that game against the Vikings. Granted, it is the Vikings defense, so it was just bending, not breaking for the Vikings. Mm-hmm. But I do think that kind of matches up well for Carolina. And then if you look at the other side of the ball here, the Panthers' offense actually kind of got it going in the second half of both of their games. And I think that more importantly, last week they kind of revitalized the offense. They almost came back and won that game in the end if it wasn't for a last-second touchdown. So I really do think that this is a game that the Falcons could lose, and I actually do have the Falcons losing this game. I have my upset of the week as the Carolina Panthers getting this win. I think this is just one of those situations for me for a young quarterback like Michael Penix to go in here and win this game is going to be very tough to me. And I think that that's crazy to say for a lot of people, and including me. I think it's a long shot this actually pays off for me, but I do think that the Carolina Panthers have what it takes to win this game, and I think they're frustrated right now. I think that they know that they have a lot more potential than what they're showing. This is a division rivalry game where I view that anything can happen. I don't think that either one of these coaches is clearly better than the other. Raheem Morris and Dave Canales are both about the same level for me, and the biggest thing I guess you can say about this game is that the Panthers are at home. I don't think it's going to play too much of an insane factor considering how many Panthers fans are there, but I do think that this is going to be a game that's back and forth. It'll be close. I think it'll be lower scoring-ish. It's like one of those average scores, 21-17. Give me the Carolina Panthers and my upset of the week, baby. Give me Bryce Young and the Panthers to get the job done.
Well, I will be saying for certain here, you are definitely going to be the lone wolfer here in this game, as the AI and Brian and myself are all going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. There's absolutely no chance in hell that I'm going to pick the Carolina Panthers. I think I'm beginning to turn into one of those media people that just hate on teams for absolutely no reason.
And yours is because of a Madden franchise.
Yeah, well, not entirely. The team has had this is their third year to get things together. together. And they still, sure, at the end of that game last week, they had a chance. They could have pulled out that game. They almost made a comeback against the Arizona Cardinals. Let's put the brakes on them a little bit here, okay?
Okay.
Even though the Cardinals are 2-0, but I don't like the Panthers, not one bit. Raheem Morris is a better coach than Dave Canales, and the Falcons are going to win this football game against the Carolina Panthers. And if the Panthers prove me wrong, they can so graciously do that. But I don't think they're going to. But yeah, I don't really think I got to go into much into detail. Bryce Young is not a great quarterback. He had
wait and see, fellas.
He had a lot of good stats last week, I'll admit, but not good enough to beat the Falcons here this week in Week 3.
I think if there's a defense that can stop Bijan Robinson, it's the Panthers. They got Derek Brown in the middle.
Yeah, but they're the Panthers, so they'll find a way to mess it up. But moving along here to the next game, a CBS 1 o'clock game here between two 1-1 teams right now. Both teams also with 6 Super Bowl rings. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers at the New England Patriots right now. I guess both teams trying to find an identity still kind of right now. Steelers, I feel like they're kind of been in an identity crisis. They don't know. We kind of don't know what we're getting from them right now as the Patriots beat up on a pretty crappy Dolphins team last week in a 6-point victory, 33-27, I believe the final score was. So, I don't know, this game I was kind of torn on a little bit here, but I'm interested to see who you got winning this one.
I think this is a pretty interesting game. This is one of those coin flips of the week, if you will, for me. And I'm genuinely thinking about, if somebody comments, actually, I want to know if anybody would want this. But I might actually start writing down coin flip of the week, and then I'll literally just flip a coin, and whichever side it lands on is the team I'll pick.
Oh my god.
I think it's that close for me. I think these two teams are both pretty even. They got some good defenses, good defensive-minded coaches. I think that this is one of those games that's going to be pretty close back and forth, but I have to lean with Pittsburgh here. 21-20 is the final score to me. It's just, which coach do you trust more in this situation to me? And it's Mike Tomlin, 110%. This game really reminds me of the Colts game last year where I picked the Colts to beat the Steelers. I think also in Week 3, funny enough, because they were both 2-0. But I do think that the Steelers are a good enough team. And over the last, last 20-ish years, since 2007, the Pittsburgh Steelers were not 2-1 or worse through the first 3 weeks of the season, ever. From 2007 until now. I don't think that changes here. Go ahead and give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. 21-20. A grinded out win. I think they get it done.
All right, well, the AI is going to be agreeing with you in this game, but Brian is not. Brian's going to side with the New England Patriots to win this game. As for this game for me, I know I already mentioned it a little bit earlier, how the Steelers kind of have an identity crisis. That's what it feels like to me anyway, because Rodgers looked good week 1, did not look so good the week after against the Seahawks. And the Patriots, I feel like, could be in a bit of a similar boat here too, just with how they've been playing offensively, I guess, putting up 33 against the Dolphins. But it is Miami, and the week before they didn't look too great against the Raiders. So you kind of don't really know what you're getting really with these two teams right now, but for this game, really, the biggest thing that stands out to me is the two quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Drake May. One is an experienced veteran. One is kind of a young quarterback, kind of trying to be on the rise right now. And seeing a young second-year quarterback in Drake May going against Mike Tomlin's defense early in the season, that is kind of what's going to be leaning me towards picking the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this football game. And I just feel like this is kind of one of those games where, specifically for the Steelers and for Aaron Rodgers on offense, just don't force the ball down the field. Don't make dumb mistakes. Just play nice complementary football. Don't take too many deep shots. And just, kind of control the football in a way. And if you do that, I feel like that could be enough to beat the Patriots here. But you never know. Mike Vrabel is another really good coach in this league, so we'll see how it ends up playing out, but I'm going to lean with the Steelers to win this game as of right now. But alas, we're going to move on to arguably the best team in the NFL right now. It's the 2-0 Green Bay Packers, off to a blazing start for their season here in 2025, going up against a winless team in the 0-2 Cleveland Browns. And I'm going to have to ask the same question again. Are the Packers going to stay undefeated, or are the Browns going to get their first win against the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. There were genuinely rumors about Myles Garrett getting traded to the from the Cleveland Browns to the Green Bay Packers. However, they ended up opting in for Micah Parsons. Thank you, Jerry Jones. Anyway, though, with that being said, this is my lock of the fucking week here. This is as easy as it gets, man. You were talking about potentially the best team in the NFL right now, which is weird to say about the Packers. Haven't heard that since like 2015-ish range when there were talks about them or the Seahawks. But now it's them or like maybe the Chiefs and a couple other teams like the Eagles, obviously, for example. All those other teams that are in that conversation, Ravens, Bills, obviously, before you freak out on me. But
said the 0-2 Chiefs. Just have to say that.
Okay, I think that when it comes down to it, the Chiefs can be competitive. Anyway, it's a topic for a different time. So I think that this is one of those easy games for me. I'm gonna say the Packers win this game 28-10. I think they're gonna put belt to ass in this game against this Browns team. I think it's not going to be as much about the Browns defense being the problem as it's going to be about Joe Flacco throwing multiple interceptions or fumbling or just turnovers for the Browns, I should say. I think that's going to be the reason why they end up with 28 points in the end. So go ahead and give me the Green Bay Packers to take home a W in Week 3.
Yeah, we're going to have to start inventing a chain instead of a lock here because the AI also has the Packers beating the Browns in its lock of the week, as well as Brian also has the Packers winning this game. Does Brian?
And his lock of the week.
No, not his lock of the week. But it is going to be... No, I'm kidding. I'm also going to have the Packers winning, though, obviously.
What? No way, dude.
Yeah, it's a big shock. It's my shocker of the week.
My coin flip of the week, Browns Packers. Who's it gonna be?
Oh, it's gonna be the Browns. Oh no. But
Levis moment.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go with the Cleveland Browns. They have not looked good these first 2 weeks. I mean, they did play the Ravens last week, so I guess a little bit understandable that they got their ass kicked the way that they did. But for the Packers, 2 impressive wins in 2 straight weeks. Just last week, beating up on the Commanders on Thursday Night Football. And now they have extra time to prepare for a winless football team, so I wonder how that's going to play out. Probably not so great for the winless team.
Hey, they could have one win if they didn't miss a field goal.
It's true. Very true. But I'm going to have to go with the Green Bay Packers to win here this one. One of the favorites, really right now to win the Super Bowl right now. A couple people have been saying that. It's kind of shocking to me right now, but it's definitely...
Said the same thing about the Lions, and they lost in their first playoff
game. Now everyone's writing off the Lions. It's pretty crazy, but regardless... we all got the Packers over the Browns right here. As we move along to the last 1 o'clock game in the early window on Fox, it is going to be the 0-2 New Jersey Jets traveling into Tampa Bay to take on the undefeated Buccaneers, as another undefeated team going up against another winless team. Another one of those scenarios here this week. Seen quite a few already. Is Baker going to continue baking, or is Fields going to get back to how he was week 1 with an impressive showing?
I think this is going to be a pretty interesting game for me. I think this is where it mellows out, because we went from really good offense, 30-plus points, to absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So I think this is where it mellows out. I think that they're still going to lose this game, so go ahead and give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. But I do think that for the New York Jets, or New Jersey Jets, as you said, the accurate name it should be at least. I do think that this is going to be a decently close game. I think it'll be back and forth, but I think the Bucs are going to pull away. I think the Bucs win this game 23-14. It's just one of those games for me where it's going to be pretty defensive. The Bucs are going to get down the field, but end up being forced to punt, especially after we saw these games last week and stuff like that, with the Bills game, for example, where we were starting to kind of mellow out at the end, where we were offensively good at the beginning and then we started to slow down, kick some field goals. And I think that's going to be the same thing in this kind of a situation. Even if you remember at the beginning of the game, we had a drive where we were supposed to just kick a field goal that ended up being more because of the roughing the passer call. So I think that this is a Jets defense that's going to be able to bend but not break, and I think that's going to keep them in the game for a prolonged amount of time. But I think the Bucs pull away with a win, 23-14, especially at home in this kind of a game. Go ahead and give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right, well, Brian and the AI are also going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game, as I'm going to go with the Buccaneers too, but I do want to say something real quick about the Buccaneers. and that is they really got to get some rhythm going on offense because we have not seen a whole lot offensively these first 2 weeks. We've seen a couple nice plays, but they haven't really been consistent these first 2 weeks at all. And I feel like you got to give a lot of credit to their defense right now for being 2-0 right now.
Through the first 3 quarters of each of their games, if you add up their score, it's the same amount as just the fourth quarter alone.
That's pretty sad.
It
is very sad.
This morning.
But if the Buccaneers want to, get in the playoffs and win maybe potentially a playoff game, they really got to figure things out with the offensive side of the ball.
Agreed.
But I feel like this is a good opportunity to kind of try to get things better against the Jets. I know they do have a solid defense. But, I mean, it's a defense that a lot of times teams can take advantage of because of how inconsistent the offense can be.
Right.
But
tired, man.
Again, I got to say the same thing with the Jets. Got to be consistent on offense if you want to win any amount of games. They were good week 1. They're terrible week 2 against the Bills. So they really got to find that consistency as well on offense. I feel like that's the big thing with both of these teams right now. But Buccaneers definitely the better team right now. It's a team that we are all going with is Tampa Bay. But with that being said, we're going to move on to the 4:05 o'clock window on CBS here. We got 2 games here. First of which being an AFC West divisional battle between the 1-1 Denver Broncos traveling to LA to take on the undefeated 2-0 LA Chargers. And what I think very well could be an interesting game.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to also be a very interesting game. I think this is just the division matchups to start the season. Like, we literally had Bills Dolphins, Jags Texans, Titans Colts, Panthers Falcons, and now this one. There's probably a couple more down the stretch. 49ers Cardinals is the last one we'll get to later on. But it's just one of those games early on in the season. It's tough, especially with 2 teams that made the playoffs last season, 2 teams that have been pretty good. And if it wasn't for some bullshit on the leverage bull crap or whatever, then we're talking about the Broncos winning this game last week. Also, I do want to mention for whatever Broncos defensive lineman, I think it was Nick Bonino that ended up getting the penalty called on him. But why? It's Spencer Schrader. He's not making like a 58-yard field goal. That's what it was. It was like 56 or 58 or something like that. It's a long kick. And he was very inconsistent week 1, even though they won. And I think that that's just one of those cases where why are you going out of your way to try to block a kick that's probably going to be missed anyway, which in the end, he did miss the kick. But you had to be stupid and give him a 15-yard penalty, and then obviously he drills the game winner. I think it's a perfect learning experience for the Broncos for what they needed for this season, though. It's one of those games where you have to understand penalties are a big part, and it's a team game. And even though it came down to just that missed field goal at the end with the flag that gets thrown, they didn't play well enough to win this football game for 4 quarters, and that showed, especially by losing this game, obviously. So I do think that this is a wake-up call for them. However, when it comes to the game that they're playing this week, they're playing the Chargers, who have looked admittedly insane on defense especially. And even the offense has been very, very good, especially with Justin Herbert being able to show off his wheels a little bit. So I do think that the Chargers are going to win this game, especially being at home. I think this is, again, one of those season series back to the Jags-Texans game where I think this season series is going to be split. But I think with the Chargers being at home and with the state of these 2 teams right now, this is just a no-brainer for me to pick the Chargers. 21-14 is my final score.
Yeah, both Brian and the AI are also going to go with the LA Chargers to win this game. And, I mean, I feel like it's a little bit disappointing with how we've been seeing the Broncos play these first 2 weeks on both sides of the ball, on defense and on offense. More specifically on offense, Bo Nix. He has not looked as good as people thought he was going to look going into this season. He hasn't looked as good as he did last season in his rookie year. So we definitely want to see some improvement from Bo Nix here, especially in this game. But like you mentioned, the Chargers defense has been playing really good these first 2 weeks. They're probably not going to have Khalil Mack for this game. He probably won't have him for a while after seeing the replay. But the offense, like you said, too, has been playing pretty well. Sure, they only put up 20 points last week, but they controlled the game all the way through. And they're even starting to use Justin Herbert's legs more than they have in years past. So I feel like the offense is starting to evolve a little bit. They're trying.
It reminded me of the Bills with Allen when they finally let him loose, and we went nuts that regular season just to lose to the Chiefs. But
Yeah, throw that in there.
that was the 13-second season. So I think that was the best chance the Bills had. As of at least right now, I think that's the best chance the Bills had at winning a Super Bowl. Because I feel like even if we would have beat the Chiefs last year, we would have lost to the Eagles. But that's a different conversation. I just think that the Chargers right now, with how they're playing, they remind me of that Bills team that went insane. Look at that playoff run even. That's like the best playoff run ever from a quarterback, from Josh Allen in that playoff run for the first 2 games he played. Played literally perfect and lost. But I think that's just kind of scary to think about. And then on the other side, it's really looking like he's going to have his C.J. Stroud arc for Bo Nix. So that's what it's looking like. It looks like he's going to fall off a little bit.
A little interesting comparison there with Nix and Stroud there. But, yeah, give me the Chargers to win this game, as well as all of us are picking the Broncos to lose to the Chargers.
Yeah, you saved it. There you go.
Oof.
Good save.
But moving on to the next game, we have the winless 0-2 New Orleans Saints traveling into Seattle to take on the 1-1 Seahawks. Seahawks beat the Steelers last week as they made Rodgers look like the New York Jets version of Aaron Rodgers. As the Saints continuing to not win football games. So could be an interesting game. I mean, we'll see how it ends up playing out, but playing a tough environment in Seattle, do you think New Orleans has a chance to win this game?
Well, we both know how much I hate the Seahawks for whatever reason. It's your vendetta with the Panthers, my vendetta with the Seahawks potentially. I don't think I actually have a vendetta against the Seahawks. I think everybody just thinks I do. I mean, last year I was right. They didn't make the playoffs, did they? They didn't play well enough to make the playoffs. And I said they were a mid-team. They finished, what was it, 7-10 or 8-9? What did they finish?
I want to say 7-10.
Yeah, 7-10 was my record prediction for the Seattle Seahawks. So the fact that everybody thinks I hate on the Seahawks when I was literally accurate with what the Seahawks were is kind of crazy to me. But for this game, Seattle, we love you. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I have the Seahawks winning this game 24-10. I just don't think that Saints offense is going to do that much damage, really, if you will. I think this is just one of those games for the Seahawks defense where it's going to be pretty easy. And last week, I want to mention, they did not have Devin Witherspoon, who's their number 1 cornerback, at least on paper. I know they also have Tariq Woolen as well, as another cornerback that's really good. But the fact that they played as well as they did on defense last week, forcing turnovers from Aaron Rodgers, for example, now they go up against Spencer Rattler, who's not exactly known to be the greatest quarterback on earth. So I just think that neither is Aaron Rodgers, but he just doesn't turn the ball over normally. I mean, if you look consistently at Aaron Rodgers, he doesn't turn the ball over on a high average, and he turned it over a couple times last game against the Seahawks defense without Devin Witherspoon. Now getting him back in the lineup, I think it's only going to be better, especially against the Saints too. I think this is going to be a pretty bad one for New Orleans. Might want to turn this off by the second half. So 24-10 giving the Seattle Seahawks, especially at home, man, too. Oh, yeah. Everything goes their way in this one.
All right, Brian also has the Seattle Seahawks winning this game, but we do have an upset alert for this one.
Oh, no.
The AI is going to be a little bold here this week, and they're going to pick the New Orleans Saints.
A little late.
To defeat the Seattle Seahawks. Talk about Thomas being a hater for the Seahawks. The AI seems to hate him even more. But
AI has no affiliation.
I gotta say, you mentioned that you love Seattle. I mean, I feel like I love Seattle more because I didn't shit on them all of last season.
Well, yeah, it's true. I think the only thing I did them dirty on was I had them lose to the Broncos week 1. That was really bad.
Yeah, I remember that
game. I mean, if we played that game over later in the season, I would have been right.
Yeah. But I'm also going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to win this game. Saints, I picked you to win last week in one of my 2, I guess you could say, upsets of the week.
Stupid.
And it did not pay off because Mac Jones has to play well and the Saints have to play bad. So, Saints, I'm not going to pick you to win again for probably the foreseeable future until you end up winning a football game.
Saints-Browns on Thursday Night Football.
Oh, no. It's probably next week's matchup, I bet.
Oh, stop.
But, yeah, give me the give me the Seahawks to win this game.
Chargers?
Yeah, I almost said the Chargers. Didn't save myself on that one. But we're going to move right along here to the Fox late window slated games at 4:25. First of which being the 1-1 Dallas Cowboys traveling into Chicago to take on the 0-2 winless Bears, who have not looked too great to start off. But Cowboys had a big scare against the Giants last week, but still.
Insane scare, but Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah, Brandon Aubrey, Lord and Savior.
Yeah, literally.
But I think a lot of people, I guess, seem to be torn on this game. Me, kind of not so much, but we'll get to my pick in just a minute. Who do you got winning this game between Dallas and Chicago?
I know a lot of people are picking the Bears in this game, and I think it's a pretty interesting one. But before I even get into the game, I mean, you were a little bit premature on that defense. But because now it's the perfect time with that Southern accent. I know you went with the Chicago accent for this, but defense is going to win this game for the Dallas Cowboys. I have Dallas winning. I don't understand why everybody thinks that this is going to be a good game. With what the Bears have shown me through the first 2 weeks, I think that they might lose to a team like the Panthers, for example.
Ooh.
I just don't like what the Bears are showing me on offense, especially like Caleb Williams looked okay in week 1, and last week, what the hell was even that? You know, like, I understand it's the Lions and they were motivated, if you want to say that, against them, but at the same time, it's just like everybody saw the preseason, everybody saw the hype around this team, and they are absolutely not living up to the hype. They're actually probably making it worse as the days go by. So I think this is one of those games, especially with how Dallas has played. Dallas is, in my opinion, Dallas is the Saints team. Dallas is that team of the Saints to me, where they're under a new head coach. They looked good through the first couple weeks, and then they're going to fall off. I think that's going to be the Saints equivalent this year. But I do think, nonetheless, though, you're playing a team right now in the Chicago Bears that can't find its footing. And if you lose this game, you're totally going to become the Saints. But I have them winning in a close one, 27-24. Give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, you were speaking about a lot of people picking the Bears. Both Brian and the AI are picking the Chicago Bears to win this game, and I'm gonna have to agree with you on this one. I don't see why everyone's been picking the Bears to win this game.
I don't know what they're seeing, man.
I think it's got to be one of those situations where it's
this
like
video is sponsored by the crack that sponsors them for picking these terrible teams to win games.
But if I had to guess, it's because there's a lot of hype around the Bears going into this season, and they started off 0-2, and this is kind of the part of the season, like week 3, week 4, hell, even week 5, where it's like, all right, this team has to win now, you know?
Right.
And it's like just having that hype from the offseason that's kind of leading them to pick. It's like it's got to show at some point, right? I mean,
yeah, they had hype ever since they had the number 1 pick, and everyone was like, oh, they could get Caleb Williams, and then they drafted him, and then they weren't that great last year either in the same sense. And now, I mean, like, you bring in Ben Johnson, oh, we actually have a fucking coach now, and just like, oh, we actually have a quarterback last year, and now it's the exact same thing, just replace quarterback with coach, and here we are, still 0-2.
They even bolstered their offensive line in the offseason, and Caleb is still seeming to struggle early.
Yeah,
I get
the
it's a whole
offensive line looked pretty good,
I understand
too.
it's a whole new coaching staff and stuff like that, but at the same time, hasn't looked too great so far. But give me the Dallas Cowboys to also win this game. They definitely had a big scare against the Giants last week. But I'm hoping, for their sake, that it was a fluky game on defense. Their offense played phenomenal, putting up 40 points in the end.
I think the offense might struggle in this game, but
I
thought they could have, I should say, because now with Jalen Johnson being out, I think that this should be a pretty good win.
That's a hit.
It's another reason why I don't know how they picked the Bears, man.
Yeah,
Brian, you're going to have to let me know whenever I see you, man.
The Bears are going to end up killing the Cowboys, and we're going to look like the two biggest
We're
idiots.
going to look dumb as hell.
Yeah, but moving on to...
See why everybody picked them?
Moving on to the last late window game of the week on Fox. It is between two undefeated NFC West teams for first place in the NFC West in Week 3. It is the 2-0 Arizona Cardinals traveling to Santa Clara to take on the undefeated San Francisco 49ers, who are still going to be without George Kittle, and they're still going to be without Brock Purdy in this one as well, but they still showed that they can win without those two studs on offense by beating up the New Orleans Saints. So, got another, it's a different opponent than the Saints, but they almost gave up a comeback to the Carolina Panthers last week, being the Cardinals. So this was a really tough game for me to pick. It really was. I was definitely going back and forth on this one, for me at least. But you said you weren't really torn on this game, so I'm interested to see who you got winning this one.
I just think that here's the thing. There's 3 teams right now in the NFC West that are 2-0, and there's one very clear fraudulent one. One very, very clear fraudulent one. I think the Seahawks are going to be okay this year. I don't think they're going to be really good, but I don't think they're going to be really bad either. And then if you look at the Cardinals, at least on paper to me, are the worst team in the division. And out of the entire fucking league right now, who's had the easiest schedule, without a doubt, no one can argue with me, it's the fucking Cardinals. You got the Saints and the Panthers, and you almost lost to them both. You almost lost to both of them. At least the 49ers had a reason why the game was close against the Saints. They had a fucking backup quarterback playing. What was the excuse for the Cardinals? There wasn't one. They almost lost if Jawan Johnson holds on to that ball for half a second longer. That's a touchdown, and then a 2-point conversion wins them the game. Or ties it, whatever. And then for the Panthers game, you literally had every clear advantage possible last week against the Panthers. They fumbled in the first 2 minutes, and they picked it up for a touchdown. And you still almost choked. It took a last-second game-winning touchdown to win that game. And I think that says a lot about this Arizona Cardinals team. I think that a lot of people have thought they were that good. And in a game like this, where two teams you never really know, especially with the quarterback play, it's going to come down to three main things. Defense, quarterback, coach, and who's got home field. Kyle Shanahan or Jonathan Gannon? Kyle Shanahan. Who's at home? The 49ers. Who's got the better defense? The 49ers. Go again and give me the San Francisco 49ers to win this game. 27-17. The 49ers walk all over Arizona and expose the frauds that they are.
I didn't realize how much you hated the Arizona Cardinals until 2 minutes ago.
Dude.
Decibel levels through the roof as we talk about the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, literally.
Rise up, Red Sea, but
rise down.
Rise down. I guess after this week, apparently. But
Red Sea for Sea of Blood.
The Cardinals are definitely not one of the teams I've been seeing ever going 3-0 to start their season, especially this year. I will also say Brian and AI have the San Francisco 49ers to win this game. And I feel like the window is definitely open for the Cardinals to go to 3-0. I know you definitely do not. But
No.
The 49ers did play the Saints last week. Cardinals played the Panthers. Both teams barely kind of won. So I feel like in that kind of sense, it could be a bit of closer to a 50-50 game. Cardinals definitely have the better quarterback right now in this matchup. But I'm going to have to lean towards the San Francisco 49ers to win this game.
You realize how much you hated the Arizona Cardinals?
No, just because Mac Jones played very efficient in his first start with the 49ers. And the Niners are one of those teams that are starting to feel similar to the Vikings that you mentioned earlier, where it doesn't count. Well, it does matter a little bit which quarterback is playing, but generally whichever quarterback that you're going to have in there.
I feel like the ultimate proof of that was literally drafting a 7th-round player, the last pick of the draft, and he turned you guys into a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on now, dude. They can win with Mac Jones.
Yeah, and they definitely proved it against the Saints last week. I have to keep saying the Saints like that. But
The Saints.
I can definitely see the Cardinals winning this game. I can definitely see it being one of those divisional games where you don't really know what's going to happen.
Right.
But I'm going to go with the safer pick. Give me the 49ers to win this game, to go to 3-0 on the season as we make it to Sunday Night Football on NBC, a battle of two 0-2 teams. You'd almost think this would be on Thursday Night Football, but it's on Sunday night this week between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New Jersey Giants. Again, like I just mentioned, two winless teams. Shocking to see the Chiefs are 0-2 to start their season. Not so much, though, for the Giants. But who do you have winning their first game of the season? Will it be Kansas City or will it be the Giants?
It won't be either. It'll be Patrick Mahomes on Sunday Night Football. It'll be Chris Collinsworth winning this one as he gets to absolutely meat ride Patrick Mahomes for an entire 4 quarters. I think the Chiefs win their first game of the season here. I just don't see a world where the Chiefs are 0-3, especially at the hands of the New York fucking Giants. So I do think that this is one of those games where if I ever get high to the Giants, I'm absolutely cooked because of this clip. But I do think
Same
that...
with Cardinals.
Yeah, okay. And the Seahawks, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, you had them winning, though, so, I mean, for this week, it'd be okay.
Yeah, right. Anyway, though, I think that this is going to be a game for the Chiefs' defense where they really show up and they show out. I think that the game's going to be interesting. I think it could be close if the Russell Wilson-led Giants play how they did last week, but I think this is going to be more so an anomaly for Russell Wilson and the Cowboys against the Cowboys. I meant. last week. So I do think that this is going to be one of those games where they come back down to earth and show us their true colors, if you will, and go ahead and give me the Chiefs 24-14. Mahomes and the Chiefs finally get it done. They win their first game in the big 2025 season.
All right. Well, both the AI and Brian are going with the Chiefs.
Giants.
Whoa, that'd be crazy. It's also crazy is the Chiefs starting the season 0-3, which I do not think is going to be happening.
Yeah.
Give me the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. I think just about everybody who watches football is going to be picking the Chiefs to win this game. But if Russell Wilson and the Giants offense specifically plays like it did against Dallas,
They
oh
could
boy,
win this game.
they could definitely win this game, and that would be absolutely terrifying for the
It'd be
Chiefs.
cinema.
And yeah, it'll be absolute glory if we if we do see the Chiefs drop a third straight game to open the season. But no one sees this really happening. At least I don't think anyway. Chiefs should win this game, and we all do think that they will win this game. So, without further ado, the final week of the season, which definitely could be game of the week here.
Try to keep us under an hour.
Yep, it is the 1-1 Lions at Baltimore to take on the 1-1 Ravens. Neither teams are undefeated, but both teams are damn good football teams. And on Monday Night Football, too, I feel like this is going to be a really good game, very entertaining. But who do you have winning this game in a really, really tough game to pick?
I don't think it's that tough to pick, honestly. With how the Lions have played, I think that last week was one of those emotional games for them where I think that that's just one of those situations that Ben Johnson's a good coach, and it's just like you see him leaving your team to go to another team. It's just one of those things, especially a division rival, too. You feel betrayed, like Brian Branch and Amon-Ra St. Brown clearly not only showed in fantasy points, but like also showed on the field. I think they absolutely put belt to ass for that reason. I think that the offense is going to find its way into a perfect groove after this game, but I think at least for this week, they're going to come back down to how they were in week one, where they're not going to play too great. They're going to have some mistakes. And in a game like this, it's going to come down to the Lions' capability of stopping the run. Because if you look at last week, the only thing the Lions had to worry about was forcing the Bears to pass the ball. Because last week, the Bears had no run game against them. And that was the reason why the Lions won, because the Bears didn't have a run game. However, you are going up against potentially the best running game in the league, if not top three, I'd say, as of right now, with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And because of that, Derrick Henry, I will add, has fumbled in each of the first two games. That is not what we see out of Derrick Henry.
It's true.
I think he shows that he is not washed, and it's on prime time where he genuinely plays better. I think that the Ravens are going to win this game 31-21. I think the Ravens offense goes out there and they light up the scoreboard on Monday night. And I think for the Lions, their offense stays pretty close for most of the game, but a costly turnover will lose them this game. Go ahead and give me the Ravens to win in the final game of the week, although I'd love to see the Lions win, one of my favorite teams, and of course it's against Baltimore, who's a big rival of the Bills, at least for the season standings-wise. So go ahead and give me the Ravens to close out my season predictions. Weekly predictions. Yeah, my season predictions. Yep, I'm going to die after this.
Whoa.
Anyway, I'll see you guys soon.
All right. Well, for this game, the AI is going with Baltimore, as Brian has his lock of the week with Baltimore winning this game.
I want them to lose now because that's diabolical.
That's a
to make
bold
your
game
lock of the week
against the Detroit Lions of all football teams, too. A team that we all know, well, me and you know that Brian does love the Lions.
Yeah, not clearly in this.
And he's picking against them and having them as the lock of the week to lose. Oof. But needless to say, I painfully am also going to pick the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. I am. Week one scared me. I mean, it scared me for Baltimore too, but I mean, for week one, the Lions didn't even really do anything. They didn't do anything at all. And then they beat up on a pretty bad Bears team, as we've seen these first 2 weeks.
Especially what we think.
And now they're going up against Baltimore, one of the best teams in the league, one of the best offenses and defenses, if they can, play up to their standard to play. So it really does scare me for this game. I could definitely see the Lions winning this game if the Lions can get back to their original form. We will see, but early in the season, I'm going to have to lean towards Baltimore Ravens, especially with them being the home team. But that is going to just about do it here for us here on Week 3, the NFL season on the OT podcast.
Bringing it back next week.
Yeah, the Lombardi Trophy is back, and it should probably stay in this room so I don't forget about it again. But if you guys enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. If you guys want to subscribe, that'd be, oh my gosh, so amazing if you can subscribe. But any predictions, any comments, you can post them right down below.
Let me know if you want me to do the coin flip. I'd love
Yes.
to. And the only standalone game of the week was Brian. He had the Jaguars winning when none of us had the Jaguars winning.
You had the Panthers and no one else had the Panthers.
That's my upset, though. That's the exception.
Oh, that's right. It's
So
an
no,
exception.
no upsets can happen, but we will look at the points soon enough. So thank you guys so much again for watching. I love being on the show, so let's kick it back to Owen to get us done.
Yeah. I pretty much said everything I needed to, so I don't have much else to say except Life Forms out.